All right, so the Trump administration nominated this man named Jeremy Carl to be the Assistant Secretary of State for Internal Organizations, whatever bullshit cabinet position that is. Well, this guy is the most obvious white Christian nationalist you've ever seen. He believes in the white replacement theory. He believes he's a Holocaust denier, and he believes that white culture is being erased. He goes in front of the Senate and he gets absolutely trashed. This is why we call the Trump administration racist, because of guy nominees like this who are clearly racist.
Here today, Mr. Carl, I think it's just heartbreaking that you have been nominated for this position, that you've reached a panel before the United States Senate. But I do want to give you a chance to go a little bit deeper in your explanations of your personal beliefs. They are directly relevant to your fitness to serve. You already have had some of your statements read to you, but I'd like you to respond to at least a few of them. One of the things you have said is that anti-white discrimination is the most pervasive and politically salient form of racism today. So do you continue to believe that anti-white discrimination is more salient than the discrimination faced today by blacks, Latinos, Muslims, or other American groups?
Well, Senator, thank you for that question. And thank you also for giving me an opportunity to speak at a little bit of length. I haven't necessarily had much opportunity to respond.
I'm going to have at least one more question for you, so I'll give you a minute or two to respond.
Yes.
What's the deal? I saw an interview with that country music star that was at Kid Rock's show, and his eyes were red and glossy like this guy's too. They're drunk, right? Like your eyes aren't red and glossy like that for no reason. Anyway.
So thanks to the great work of my friend Harmeet Dillon as the Assistant Attorney General of Civil Rights, I actually think that we've done an incredible job in this administration of getting rid of certain policies that discriminate particularly against white Americans, but also in some cases Asian Americans.
Well, just maybe answer my question. Let's rewind, because maybe you'll suggest that everything is fine now. Let's rewind a year ago. A year ago, were white Americans the most discriminated against group in the United States? You said it. So
Senator, no, certainly this is my belief. I'm not running away from that. I think that while, of course, all races in different contexts can be subject to really severe discrimination, that when we look at our legal structures, white Americans are often very disfavored in overt ways. We're seeing this in the Small Business Administration, many other places.
So your belief is that white Americans face more discrimination, at least prior to the Trump administration fixing this, than black Americans?
On average, Senator, yes, that's correct. And
He just said that he thinks white Americans are experiencing more prejudice than black people. Are you kidding me? Is this some kind of a fucking joke? How is this guy in front of Congress right now? Come to find out that this guy actually held this position in the prior Trump administration. Like, this is disgusting. How could this guy get a job anywhere? He wouldn't be able to work at the bar that I work at as a dishwasher. Like, hell no, get the fuck out of here.
running away from that statement at all.
You have made several statements about your worry regarding the erasure of white culture in America. I understand Irish American culture. I understand Italian American culture. I maybe don't understand white culture as well. Tell me the values, the white values that you believed are being erased by the current American government or the prior American governments.
Senator, thank you for that question. I would say that it's not, I didn't use the word values, I used the word culture. I think that anytime you have large degrees of mass immigration, you're going to have a change in culture, especially if they're coming from culturally dissimilar backgrounds. And no matter what group it is, if it were in China, it would be the same thing. If it were in New Guinea, it would be the same thing.
Yeah, but tell me about what that means. I mean, culture is values, right? It's expressions of identity. Tell me what is being erased. I mean, give me some examples of what you believe are being erased about white identity. What is white identity to you?
Well, Senator, thank you for that.
Tell me how it's different than other identities.
Senator, I think the question of identity is something that lots of scholars
I guess you can do a sermon on identity, but just tell me how you define white identity and what you think is being erased about white identity.
Senator, it would have, thank you again for the question, and genuinely thank you for finally letting me
Senator, thank you for the question. What the hell is this?
have a chance to explain some of my comments a little bit. But I would say that, they could be things like going to a certain type of Christian church and that sort of culture, which is very different. I mean, we can all be Christians, right, in a certain environment, but African-American Christians might worship differently than Chinese Christians, that might worship differently than white Christians. Of course.
Can someone explain to me how black Christians worship Jesus differently than white Christians? I'm not really like a religious guy, but that sounds pretty stupid to me and probably not accurate. How he's not disqualified already? Like, he should just be marched out of the room right now.
Sometimes you have multi-ethnic churches, but things like that, certain types of Anglo-derived culture that comes from our history.
Like what?
Let me think about this.
You've thought about this a lot, dude. You just don't want to sound like an asshole in front of Congress.
Senator, I would say if you were to look at the book by one of your former Senate colleagues, Born Fighting, about the sort of Scotch-Irish military culture and certain, pride that went with that, that would be one example. Obviously, you can have sub-elements of that culture. You could have Italians, you could have Irish, and those are in many ways more
But you're
distinct.
worried about white culture. You're not worried about, you're now retreating to ethnic identity. You don't speak about ethnic identity. You speak about white identity. So tell me the values that stitch together white identity and that make it different than black identity.
Senator, again, thank you
You
for
spent a lot of time talking about this and writing about
Yeah,
this. You should be able to, you're struggling with this, but you should be fairly easily, I would assume, able to tell us your thoughts on how white identity is different than other kinds of identity and how it's being erased.
Senator, again, thank you for the question. I'm just trying to be I'm just trying to be very precise. Because I'm here in front of a Senate committee, I would say that the white church is very different than the black church in terms of its tone and style on average. Foodways could often be different.
And those
Music
are
could be different.
those are being erased.
Music could be differently if you look at the Super Bowl halftime show, which was not in English this year.
Oh no, the Super Bowl halftime show. No. He's big mad about Bad Bunny.
This white churches or white food or white music is being erased?
Senator, again, thank you for the question. What I would say is the biggest thing, because actually, contrary to many of the comments that have been shown, racial nationalists have been very, very critical of my work because they correctly say that I'm actually, of course, not a racial nationalist, which I'm not. I'm a civic nationalist.
I'm not a racial nationalist. I'm a civic nationalist. A difference without there's no difference, dude. You're a racist. You're a white nationalist. White nationalist. You're like dancing around the white nationalist thing right now, but you're a white nationalist essentially. You're saying all the white nationalist things that a white nationalist would say. A white Christian nationalist, because you keep on bringing up church for whatever reason. This is brutal. This guy's brutal.
I am concerned with the majority common American culture that we had for some time that through.
Sorry guys, I've been messing around with the sound over here. Like I don't know why it keeps on like popping like that. I can't. I think it came in poppy like that originally. I can't really get rid of that.
Particularly mass immigration, I think, has become much more balkanized, and I think that weakens us. And again, I'm not running away from that comment. I'm not
balkanized. That doesn't mean anything.
Apologizing for.
Well, I'm way over my time. I think you're struggling to answer this question, right? Because underlying your beliefs is a sentiment that white culture is just simply better. That
no,
white people
Senator,
are
I have to
superior.
disagree with that.
But you haven't been able to really coherently answer any of my questions about how you define white culture, how you define the threat that's posed. I appreciate you being very honest that you believe that white Americans are subject to greater amounts of discrimination in this country than black Americans. I do not think that's a sentiment that is shared broadly on this committee.
No.
It is all what makes you just
Most people don't feel that way.
Wildly unqualified to take this post. I'm well over my time. Thank you.
Well, Senator, I do appreciate you letting me actually respond. I genuinely do. So thank you.
We actually shouldn't be letting him respond, for the record. Like, this guy is an absolute joke of a nominee. Come on, guys, you gotta do better than this. The only thing better than that, this one is, well, we got a white nationalist in front of Congress, a guy that thinks that white culture is being erased, that black people are taking over, that Latinos are taking over. So when I say that I think the Trump administration is racist, this is what I'm talking about. You have a clear, obvious white Christian nationalist that you're trying to hire to be a part of your administration. If you hire people that are just outwardly racist, that makes your administration racist. And coupled with the ICE stuff, the Obama monkey video, I'm sure I'm forgetting a whole bunch of things. The fact that you had a bunch of black people help you get elected, and now you're president, and now none of those black people are part of your cabinet. Duh. I remember Fox News being like, Byron Donalds, this guy would make a great secretary of whatever. Though that guy was never going to get a job in the Trump administration. So anyway, let's get back to Jeremy Carl. All right, the white nationalist disgrace of a human being now is about to get absolutely destroyed by Cory Booker. Like this is something to see, guys. You're gonna be stoked on this one.
Mr. Carl, I never thought I would have somebody that made a lot of the statements that you've made before the United States Senate. I would love to discuss some of your comments.
See, what he's saying right there is just it's so disappointing. I never thought I'd have someone like this in front of Congress, like this, in front of I didn't think so either. Who would be seriously nominating someone like this? That's like putting Nick Fuentes up there. It'd just be comedy. Like, it's not a serious thing. This is serious though. They hired this guy last time.
You're going to be working with international organizations. Do you think one race is superior than another race on the planet Earth?
Senator, absolutely not.
You don't. So Do you think that America would be weaker if it was, say, 40% Jewish?
Senator, absolutely not in and of itself. I think the problem.
Well, why did you qualify that?
No,
do you
Senator,
mean
if you
in
let
and
me
of itself?
finish, I do not. I believe that unity, as President Trump has said, rather than diversity, is a greater strength.
But
Unity is better than diversity. Man, that's one concept that I just have an issue with. Like, I grew up my whole life, sports, school, whatever it is, that diversity is our strength. That's how I was taught my entire life. I also had to do the Pledge of Allegiance all the time, but I was taught diversity is our strength in every aspect of life, especially not a society. That is a weird thing to say.
why not simply say it doesn't matter what percentage of our population is Jewish?
Senator, it certainly doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Senator, if I could finish, as somebody of Jewish origin myself, and I do want to take this moment to say, because there have been some comments made, one of my weaknesses, and we've discussed some that you may think in general are weaknesses, is sometimes I take an idea too far. And I made some comments in interviews about minimizing the effect of the Holocaust that were absolutely wrong. And I'm not going to sit here and defend them here. I just want to be very, very clear on that point. Again, had I been in Germany in that time, even though I'm a sixth-generation American,
He's a Holocaust denier. He's one of those guys that said 50 million Jews died. No, that's not true. It's more like a million. He's like one of those guys.
but had I not, I would have been killed just like anybody else.
I've heard you say that you regret some of your comments about Jews.
Absolutely.
Do you regret any other comments about any other races?
Senator, you would have to reference a certain comment, but I'm certainly not a perfect.
I don't remember. I've made so many racist comments that I don't remember. You're gonna have to refresh my memory. Come on,
And I'm sure that I've
Do you
made.
regret any of your comments about Latino Americans?
Senator, I'm sure that if you read me every single comment I'd made about a group, there would be some that upon.
You have a racist claim against every ethnic group? Is that what you're saying, dude? Man, get the fuck out of here, dude.
So
Come
you
on.
stipulate for this body that you have in your past made comments about Jews and Latinos and perhaps blacks that you perhaps regret.
Senator, thank you for the question. As a Calvinist who believes that we're all infinitely sinful and only redeemed
But
through
you see,
grace.
sir, we're sending you into a very diverse world.
Yeah.
And you can't say unequivocally that America, it doesn't matter what our racial makeup is. You believe it matters what the racial makeup of America is.
Senator,
Do you believe it matters, yes or no, what the racial makeup of America is?
Senator, to echo President Trump, I believe
I don't
that
want you
unity
to
rather
echo
than diversity.
President Trump. I want you to answer my question, yes or no.
That's actually smart to echo Trump. Very smart to echo Trump because he's playing for an audience of one right now. He's not playing for anybody else. He's playing for Trump. He wants to make Trump happy. He makes Trump happy. He gets the job. Well, realize he has to be confirmed by Congress, but Trump can always put pressure on that kind of stuff. So it's not like the end of the world if it doesn't work.
Does it matter what the racial makeup of America is?
Senator, I'll stand on my comment. Thank you.
What's your comment? Answer the question, yes or no.
Echoing President Trump, I believe unity rather than diversity is a strength.
So you have a problem if America grew to be more Latinos than white people?
Senator, the individual group is not important. This is a
Then why-
cross-societal.
What do you mean when you say that you believe in the Great Replacement theory?
Senator, thank you for that question. This refers to the.
Unfortunately, the Great Replacement theory is widespread in MAGA, and it's what they all think. They all think that the Democrats are purposely replacing white people with brown people because they vote Democrat and they're more socialist or whatever. It's very incoherent, but that's what it is. Let's have Jeremy Carl explain. Do you think he's gonna explain it? Yeah, I don't think so either. He's just gonna gish gallop, which is fine because he's only talking to an audience of one anyway.
Intentional demographic replacement of Europeans in Europe. It was invented by Renaud Camus, who was a French scholar.
You think there's an active effort to, quote unquote, replace Americans right now?
Senator, I think the Democratic Party, through its immigration policies, has certainly shown signs of that.
And I don't understand that. So you are saying that if more Americans are black or Latino Americans, that somehow weakens America because it puts whites in a minority?
Senator, I never said anything like that, nor do I actually believe that.
That's exactly what you believe. That's exactly what white replacement what replacement theory is. Booker explained it perfectly. You think that we're trying to replace white people with brown people because they vote Democrat. That's exactly what you think.
I want to be very clear that regardless of country, if people generally share more in
I'm sorry,
common,
can I
that's a
read you what you've said? Because it sounds like this. You said the Great Replacement is real, and they are going to try to make you pay for it. Who is they?
Senator, thank you for that question.
Republicans always do that shit. They are gonna make the kids trans. They are gonna take your government. They are gonna kill you. Like, it's always they, and it's never they is never. Never really understand what they is.
Simply don't know from you reading that one isolated comment.
So this is the problem. You make the most incendiary comments that you admit that you regret about Jews, about Latinos, about blacks. And you sit here and say that you do not have a worldview, that somehow our country is weakened based upon the populations of each. In fact, you say in your writings that it is a threat to the United States of America and create an us versus them. And the only interpretation I can have of us versus them is it's white people against others, which sounds deeply racist to me. That somehow you think our country's greatness depends upon its ethnic diversity as long as white people have more numbers than others. That does not sound like a nation that was founded with the belief that all people are created equal and equal before the eyes of God. It sounds like you have a racial hierarchy. There's no way for me to read this in any other way.
Senator,
because you have said our country, based upon religious diversity, based upon ethnic diversity, based upon racial diversity, you have indicated that somehow those make America weaker or stronger. That God forbid our nation grows in population, that then you suddenly say, I'm aggrieved, and they are trying to replace us. This is the United States of America. We are one nation under God, but you cut us up and divide us along racial lines.
Senator, respectfully, I do not think that they do.
Jesus Christ. That was brutal. Can you imagine a white nationalist who hates black people getting roasted by a black man? Holy shit, that's why he got so drunk before this thing, so he knew he was about to get his shit kicked in. That was brutal. Great job, Corey. Overall, I don't really like Corey. He kind of just gish gallops over nothing, but that was a masterclass. That was pretty good.
I use the word respectfully, because you do not respect me.
Oh,
you
no,
look
actually, I
upon
do.
me as my color of my skin. You say holidays like Juneteenth are racial hustles. Don't come here and hustle me.
Yeah.
You
Senator,
have said statement
Trump did try to get rid of Juneteenth. I think he did. He replaced that holiday with his birthday, I believe.
that other nations are going to look upon you and read plainly. When you go to a country of a different religion or ethnicity, you have discriminated against Jews in your writing, you have discriminated against others, and then you claim yourself as a victim. Mr. Chairman, I've never seen such a blatantly racist individual who doesn't even deny that he's made these statements, but wants to tell us that he regrets them, and yet still believes that this body, who is committed to principles of equality, who is committed to ideals of our founders, that you're not in direct violation to the ideals and values and principles. And the last thing I want to say, I watched people beat others when they attacked the Capitol, viciously attack police officers. Brian Sicknick, a New Jersey resident, was beaten near death and would die days later. And you say those violent felons, you literally have said that they were treated worse than people during Jim Crow. When thousands of Americans were lynched, murdered, beaten, and killed, you equate Capitol Hill rioters with receiving worse treatment than Americans during Jim Crow, which even some of the worst people who participated in that violence and beatings have come forward decades later and said, I was wrong.
Well, there is a similarity between the J6 thing and Jim Crow. The J6ers did bring a noose to the riot, and they did try to hang Mike Pence. He didn't get hung, fortunately, but they did try to do that. And during the Jim Crow era, black people were hung. How about that? You see the similarities there? Yeah, they exist.
It is shameful that when this body ran for its life, when they had gallows for the vice president put outside, when they tried to stop the peaceful transfer of power, that you would equate those people to the folks that were victimized and terrorized by white nationalist organizations like the KKK. Sir, you have no decency. You have no honor. You say inflammatory things because it thinks it will ingratiate you to those who are paying your salary. And you sit here before me and try to wrap yourself in the American flag. Well, I believe in this nation. I believe in the principles. I believe in those who fought and died for our country. You disgrace that legacy and the ideals that we all swear an oath to uphold, that does not believe in one nation for one people and another people. Dear God, I pray for us if we let somebody like you represent us to the diverse nations of the world as representing the values of our country.
Senator.
That was brutal and embarrassing. It's embarrassing for the Trump administration that they hired this guy in the first one. It's embarrassing that he's being, nominated to have a job in this administration again. And Cory Booker said it best at the very end there, like he's doing this He's saying these things because Trump wants him to. I wouldn't be surprised straight up if Trump said, if you go on there and say a bunch of racist things, I will get you a job whether you get confirmed or not. I don't doubt that for 1 second. But the fact that this is what the Republican Party thinks that America should be is this white Christian nationalist piece of shit. That's embarrassing. Conservatives and MAGA, you guys are embarrassing. This is ridiculous. We're tired of you guys' shit. Every time I try to have a conversation with you guys too, you're gonna be like, "What do you mean? He's not a white nationalist. He never said anything like that." It's just the escape from reality that MAGA's doing right now is just so infuriating. But it does give me motivation to come and make these videos, and hopefully we can make a change because this shit is getting crazy. How is that guy Jeremy Carl a nominee? Holy shit. God, we got to do better, guys. America, we got to do better. So hopefully that guy doesn't get confirmed. He might still get confirmed because a lot of shitty people got confirmed. But Matt Gaetz didn't get confirmed, so who knows? Maybe he won't maybe it won't happen. So anyways, I guess the news kind of slowed down to the end of the week, so that's all I got for you this week. But stay tuned. I'm sure Trump will still say some more stupid shit or do some stupid things. It will happen, and I will bring it to you guys. So please do me a favor, guys, so I can keep this YouTube dream alive. Please like, share, or subscribe, and we can keep this dream alive for good old Carl Jr. over here.